Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I've got Adam Whittington, the CEO and founder of Project Rescue Children, joining me today to have a discussion around child exploitation and how to keep our children safe online. Hey Adam, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me on again.
No worries. We've actually been sort of pushed to do this by a few people saying that they'd love to see us work together again. And we've been talking about a lot of similar issues online at the moment as well. And I do get a lot of my information and stuff from you because you are somebody with such vast knowledge around this situation. And obviously your incredible charity does so much work to help put an end, or at least, reduce the amount that goes on. So we're going to go into a little bit today, obviously, around online exploitation.
Sure.
And I'd love for you to kick off the discussion with that.
Yeah, basically, it's a fairly new topic, really, to a lot of parents. A lot of parents are just used to stranger danger on the street type of thing. But as it's been proven, statistics, authorities like the FBI, the Australian Federal Police, Scotland Yard, online grooming is the new way children are ultimately sexually abused, raped, or worse. As well as exploited. And it's something that parents really need to take serious. Unfortunately, I believe, and from what we see on social media, the percentage of parents taking it serious is not high enough. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of, it's not going to happen to my children. It can't happen to my children's accounts. They can't get groomed. And it's a really, it's the wrong approach.
Especially considering it's a lot easier for predators to operate on the internet as opposed to real life. Absolutely.
And that's how I sort of describe it to a lot of parents is gone are the days when we used to grow up and parents used to say, be careful of the strange man in the car giving goodies or lollies. Mm-hmm. Well, what they've done, the pedophiles have actually taken the giving goodies online, and that's the grooming process. So that's a good way to sort of describe it in layman's terms for parents who don't quite understand what online grooming is. It's just the same as, the 1970s, 80s, where pedophiles are in cars driving around with goodies, lollies, sweets.
And there's not really any specific platforms. We're talking across all platforms. This is going on. WhatsApp, Omegle, Instagram, even online games like
anything with a chat.
Roblox, anything that's got a chat box. We're finding that they're now using this, whether they pose as another child or whether they just go in as themselves and begin the grooming process. But what we're finding is it's actually quite easy for them to reel the children in this way. And I see every day, more and more cases of, I posted today about a 22-year-old male who had been messaging my friend's little sister since she was 14 years old and sending indecent images. So it is an issue, and whether people want to admit that or not, it really, really is. And
that's the problem too. So a lot of people don't want to.
I'd love for people to watch this and understand the magnitude of the situation, and hopefully take away today some things that they can then implement to safeguard their children online. We've been talking a lot about pictures, appropriate and inappropriate pictures that we can upload of our children. And obviously you have a team of people that work within the dark web to hunt down these pedophile forums and things. So you have a very good idea of what kind of images really shouldn't be online. So can you give us some examples of what a safe and an unsafe image could look like?
Yeah, you've got to, we really wish as a team to basically open up the dark web so all parents can see for 5 minutes exactly what an innocent picture to them posting on Instagram or Facebook of their child, in fact, is a turn on, a sexual turn on to a pedophile, a predator. And we see it so often. And there's been, the authorities have come out with it. There's been media articles that come out with it, and basically statistics show. And from what we see ourselves, and I always comment about, listen, I can't stand the mainstream media. So a lot of my comments, all of my comments and advice is from what we have seen ourselves. But
first-hand experience,
saying that, exactly, and people can take the advice how they want. They can listen to us or not. It's their choice. We don't tell people what to do. We advise them what we see, and if you want to take appropriate action to safeguard your children and the images, then listen. Otherwise, don't listen to us. But the majority of innocent pictures are from parents, in particular, a lot of mums, social media accounts that are open, public accounts, and a lot of the images that they think are innocent are actually not. And these are the ones that go on to the dark web. Now, both
and we're
yourself
talking,
and I
you know, pictures of children fully clothed as well. And I'd given an example of an inappropriate image of a baby. It's the one that I'd sent to you as well with the rainbow, you know, that was posted by Not on the High Street. And I'd sent this to a girl I know, and I said, look, this would be likely found on a forum. And she said, but that child is fully clothed. But this is what, you know, what parents need to understand. This is what they have
to understand. Absolutely. It's not, you know, from what we see, the images mostly are not naked children. They're not. They're clothed, semi-clothed. You know, it's really hard to explain without showing you images that are on paedophile forums and are getting shared around to other pedophiles, encouraging other pedophiles to go onto Instagram and social media and take pictures from mum influencers accounts. And as an example, it's more about the position of the children, right? Sexual and people can say, oh, but he's talking about sexualizing images and well, bullshit. Turn off this interview now, because you're not going to listen regardless of what I say or show you. You'll never understand what we're trying to say. You have to now. It's 2021. It's not 1970 anymore. The amount of pedophiles out there is astronomical. The Australian Federal Police just came out recently and said it's a tsunami of child sexual abuse and exploitation online. It's a tsunami. If people don't understand that word and how it can convey to child sexual abuse and exploitation, then you're nuts. Nobody's ever going to, you know.
It's because people don't have access to the dark web. So because they, you know, go about their lives and they flick through the internet, they'll flick through all their tabs and they won't ever come across a paedophile forum. But just because you don't come across it doesn't mean that they don't exist. Now, if you go into the dark web, so you know, the web that we have access to is the tip of the iceberg. That's 10% of the internet. There is another 90% of the internet that is hidden from public access. So we have, if you think about how many web pages are on our internet, thousands, millions. Now, think that that's only 10% of what the actual internet is. Think how many, you know, and the pedophiles those forums only tend to operate on the dark web. So if we're thinking that makes up, you know, another 90% of the internet, just think how many forums that actually means and how many child sexual exploitation, you know, video accounts and things that are on there.
It's gigantic.
It's
gigantic.
Huge.
And as an example, recently, a couple of months ago, the German authorities cracked just one of, there's hundreds in there, right? One forum website. It consisted of 400,000 members in one site. This is one forum, one website in the dark web full of pedophiles, and they accessed 400,000 members of that one site. So anybody who thinks it's just a small issue, I mean, you need to rethink what you're thinking, because it's absolutely, as the assistant commissioner of the AFP said, it's a tsunami. And people, it's hard for people to understand because you can't gain access to it. And we always recommend parents never to gain access. We never tell people how to gain access to the dark web, because it's just not a good place to be at all. Besides the child sexual abuse.
I've ventured into it once, and once was enough for even me, who deals with this kind of topic day in, day out. The things that I saw on there within 10 minutes, I wouldn't ever advise for anybody to go on there.
Yeah. It's so much on there. It's not just this. There's so much. It's like, I explain it to people as the Amazon. It's Amazon, but for underworld sort of stuff. But you can get anything on there.
Exactly.
It's the problem is it's full of hackers. So if you want to, if a normal person starts logging in to the dark web, you know, the chances of you being hacked, your bank account, your identity being stolen, this is what happens to normal people who go on to the dark web for curiosity. So it's really a place you just need to avoid altogether.
It's dangerous.
And it's just, you know, but there's an example there. One website was taken down by the German authorities, 400,000 members. So the issue is very big. As far as the images go, you've got to really rethink how your children are in the image before you post it, okay? And unfortunately, you're going to have to think, is this something that would be sexual?
Well, yeah, you're going to have to kind of adopt the mindset of a pedophile and look at the image and say, if I was a predator, would this be an image that I would likely target? And if your kid's sat, you know, we've seen a couple of images of children just sat there kind of with their legs open, they've got clothes on, and, you know, to everybody, it would look just as a very innocent image of a very cute young girl. But to a predator, that is not what comes across from the image.
Exactly.
So, it's not about us sexualizing the images. It's them that sexualize the images. We just have to be aware that they do it and see if that image could potentially be sexualized by a pedophile.
And unfortunately, that's how we live these days.
And it's horrible.
And you know, nice. And it's going to get worse. And unfortunately, parents need to rewire their brain about the position of the child, you know. And it's not all okay, because I've said something before that, you know, pedophiles have fetishes for nappies, and they do. There is a group, a large group on the web that have fetishes about children in nappies, but it's about the position of the nappies. It's not every single image of a child in a nappy that, you know, it's not sexual.
No, for example, you have a picture on your account of you with your boys in the pool, holding your boys. One of them's in a nappy, but he's cuddling you. There's a completely safe image. However, if the child was just lying on the floor, for example, playing with a toy or something, legs in the air, nappy on, it's a whole different. Whole different
it is, and this is what, you know, we're trying to explain as well. You know, I am the most careful person, and unfortunately a number of years ago the mainstream media posted pictures of my boys all over the place. So my boys have been in the media before, so it's not like you know, if that wasn't the case, I probably would never post there on a public page, because I have 2 private accounts that only my really close friends and family have, and I post pictures of my boys, appropriate pictures of my boys.
Because you know who is following that account.
Yeah, exactly. And this is another thing we need to talk about as well. People message me quite often, Adam, I have a private account. Can pedophiles still take the images? Well, it's a lot harder. And I put out a video a couple of weeks ago about trying to give you an example of having an open or a private account. Pedophiles, the majority of them are not tech savvy. So what they do, they'll be driving down the highway, which is the internet. They're searching, the highway is Instagram. They're searching and they come to an exit. It's closed, okay? That's a private account. They drive straight past it. They're not interested in that. So they keep driving down the highway of Instagram looking for...
Especially if the profile picture is just of, say, an adult man or an adult woman, but perhaps if you have your children in the profile picture, they're more likely to want to gain access because they know there may be more pictures of your children on there. And it being a private account, they could think that there was, some good material for them on there. One thing that I've been saying to people, if you do have children, you're now going private and everything, just don't put your children in your profile picture either. If you're sorting through your followers and everything, it's fine, post them on the account. But if a paedophile comes across your account, doesn't see children in your profile picture, you really don't have to worry about them trying to gain access to your account. They're going to go look elsewhere.
Absolutely. And a very big problem that I always give a lot of advice to a lot of my mum followers is that you need to take off your bio, your description firstly, they have their full names of the children, they have their date of births, the city they live in. It's all used by pedophiles.
That's actually something we see really quite often, actually, the date of birth and their names.
It drives me nuts. Yeah. It doesn't matter how, I think I post it I post in my stories on Instagram at least once a week, every second week. There's an image we trying to teach especially mums who are the main offenders to take away private details in their bios. You don't need, I understand they're proud mums, because it's always mummy too, which is great, but why don't you take away, if your son's name's John Smith, why don't you just put, JS, mama to JS, remove the date of birth. You don't need to put what city you're in for the world to see. So as an example, proud mum to John Smith, just put proud mum to JS, it reduces.
Because as well, if they've got all of that and then there's perhaps pictures of their children in their school uniform or something, then they have the date of birth, the name, the school, the city, they have everything they need if they wanted to go and get that child anything like that.
Pedophiles create profiles. They create profiles just like serial killers and murderers, as the FBI do. They have profilers who specifically come up with profiles, gathering intelligence from everywhere about the possible serial killer, the suspect. This is what pedophiles do to the kids, and they groom and target the parent first. So they're going to gather, okay, his name's John Smith. He's this, because she's put the date of birth there. He's this old. He's living in, Perth, Western Australia. Okay, so this is the start. I'll put this John Smith profile into a folder along with 50 other kids' profiles. This is what pedophiles do. And by putting information in your bio, you're giving an easy ticket to the pedophiles. You've got to take it down and just, if you want to put something up, just reduce it. That's not easily identified. Best, of course, is to remove it altogether. But if you want to put something there, reduce it so you reduce the risk of pedophiles identifying you and the kids.
Yeah. And I mean, we see, I see it all day, every day, proud mums innocently sharing photos. And for the most part, they can be appropriate. And it's only occasionally that I feel that I have to message your mum and just say, look, I'd really just like to educate you on the dangers of this image. And on the other hand, we have mums who are, whether they like to admit it or not, just straight up exploiting their children for internet fame and likes and free merchandise and things.
Absolutely. It's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. But, this is the way social media comes into the world these days. We live in a social media world, and parents, have found this thing called social media fame, and a lot of parents want to be part of it.
Living vicariously through their children.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. And it's very disturbing. But if you try and approach that parent, they'll be very defensive and they'll think, no, the images they're posting is not inappropriate. It's like talking to a brick wall. But they really don't understand.
We're seeing children. I mean, I believe that you have to be over a certain age to be on Instagram, but we're seeing, for example, 8-year-old children that a Ukrainian child, Mila Maxinets, 8 years old, and is being exploited by her mother on Instagram for Instagram fame. This child has hundreds of thousands of followers, so we can guarantee that they don't know who is following this child. But they've also now kind of got her together with a 13-year-old boy, and have posted all over the internet that they're married and they're living together. And whether it's all a publicity stunt or not, this is exploitation. And
Absolutely.
The father of that child actually had reached out to the media and had done an interview, and he said that her mother is basically living off the money that she brings in through her internet fame, and his daughter is being exploited day in, day out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at 8 years old, you don't understand. You don't understand. This is completely down to the parents to take the responsibility to safeguard a child of that age online.
If she's doing all this at 8 years old, with the encouragement of her mum, can you imagine what she's going to be doing when she's 13 online? Yeah. So parents really need to take responsibility for what their kids are doing. And unfortunately, as an example, Instagram is full of these type of accounts. The amount of people who send me messages nearly every day, Adam, have you seen this account? Have you seen this account? And it's the same thing all the time. Parents exploiting. And there's a lot of, big famous influencers, mummy influencers, who are doing the same thing. But I think it's a lack of education. It's a lack of knowledge. And, instead of trying to attack these parents, it's a matter of trying to approach them and giving them some tips and explaining the reality.
Because most of the time when I'm looking at these accounts, I mean, I had posted an example the other day, and the mother reached out to me and she just said, I never looked at the image that way. I just never even thought of it. And I was like, calm down. I'm not by any means calling you a bad mother, because that child looks very, very, very well cared for. She looks like she has everything she could ever want. She's, she looks fed, healthy, clean, all of that. By no means would I ever stand here and question you and question your ability as a mother, but you're just uneducated around the situation, and there is not
a lack
enough.
Of knowledge.
It's a lack of knowledge. That's it. Because straight away she then made changes to her account to help to safeguard her daughter. So after a 2-minute conversation with me and me just highlighting a few dangers to her, that was enough for her then to want to keep her daughter safe. And I think that would be the case for most mothers. They just need to know. And there is nobody, including Instagram, that are putting out, enough information.
There's nothing at all.
No, there's nothing at all. And you would think that there would be perhaps, campaigns and things for this purpose, to spread awareness and to keep children safe online, but they don't care. So it's down to people like yourself and myself to try and help to shed light on the situation and really open people's eyes to what's going on, because the last thing that we want is for this to happen to mothers, for them to find, I've been through it with a lady, and it broke her to find a picture of her daughter on a website. The last thing we want is for it to be too late and you're coming to us saying, help me, what do I do? I've found this picture of my child, and if we can take the steps now to make sure that your pictures never get taken, it's going to save everybody a lot of heartache.
Prevention's better than cure, you know.
Exactly.
And this is why we've been, my team, you know, the dark web team, they do an amazing job, and they're in there 24/7 scouring pictures and videos and trying to search for things. It's horrific. There's no other way to describe the dark web about child exploitation. There's the most vile things ever. And what they do, they take these innocent pictures.
The most illegal things you could ever think of, all in one place. And, you know, we're not just, we have mentioned that, you know, children, pictures of children fully clothed. But believe us when we say it gets far, far, far worse than that. But you know, there's not a lot that we can do about some of that situation, but what we can do is educate you all on how to keep your child out of the dark net.
It's a really difficult subject to try and educate on, because like I said, without opening the dark web for 5 minutes and showing, okay, parents would completely see what we're trying to talk about. So what we did a couple of weeks ago, because there's so much parents messaging me asking, how is this image okay? Is this one? So what we've done now, we're going to do, we started this month, we offered 20 parents who wanted us to go into their accounts, you know, as using our experience and knowledge, because it's so much easier for us to say, go in and look for 5 minutes. Okay, that's good, that's not good. Or be careful of that one. Try and not to post that style of image again. And we did 20. I vetted, you know, nearly half of those. The response from those 20 mothers, they're all mothers, some quite high profile, was so good. They all took it on board. They've all gone private. They've all removed their private details off their BOs, because when we do vet their accounts, we give them a bit of a report on what they should be doing and why, because you have to understand, when an image goes on the dark web into a forum, you don't understand that the talk and what these pedophiles are, you know, they're all masturbating and getting off at the same time while they're looking at your kid.
I said, if you ever saw a picture of your child on one of these forums, and if you saw the things that were said underneath, it would you would probably never upload a picture of your child ever again. Like,
and this is what we explained. This is what we explained to the 20 parents that we vetted for the first time. And that was so appreciated, because they all come back and said, Adam, we didn't realize that image would be a turn on. So now, you know, we're going to do another 20 each month as a free service. You know, we put our post out once a month, and it's voluntary. We're not forcing anybody to go in. And somebody said, but you're going against what you tell everybody, to accept somebody who's a stranger just so we can go in. But we use my account, which is a blue tick account, so it's not a strange account. But still, you get criticized. Oh, well, you're going into.
I actually had a couple of people reach out to me after I'd posted some of the stuff the other day about appropriate and inappropriate pictures. A couple of people reached out to me and just said, would you mind looking at my account? So I said, you know, sure. And I just said, you know, personal opinion, I would take that one down, and you know, the rest the rest look fine to me. And I'm happy if anyone wanted to reach out to me to get my opinion. I can always then, if you can't get through to Adam, I have, you know, contact details for Adam. I can get in touch with Adam quickly, and if I don't know if the image is inappropriate or not, I can get a second opinion from Adam. So we are here to help and to guide.
We're here to educate. We're here to just you know, switch your mind a little bit to the types of images you're going to post. We're not here saying don't post any. Listen, ultimately, the best thing you can do is not post images of your kids. The second thing is to have a private account. But if you're not going to listen to that, then you need to adapt the mentality of being careful of the images you post. If you are going to ignore points 1 and 2, then, you know, you need to really be careful.
Because the thing is, you can sit there and think, oh, it will never happen to me, all you like. But for as far as you're aware, it could have already happened, because these pages,
you will never know.
You will never know.
You would never know. There's millions of images. There's millions of images. I don't know the exact figure that came out by, I think it was the AFP, Australian Federal Police. There is literally millions, tens of millions of images, children's images. And majority of those are what you believe is an innocent picture. So you've really, unfortunately, there's no education out there. There's no governments aren't putting any effort into this. There are, I have to applaud the AFP, the Australian Federal Police, because they are doing so much more within the last year, 2 years. But still, that's just a drop in the ocean.
And this is something that I really want
the experts.
Yeah. This is something I really want to push for to do something around legislation, or to move forward and to hopefully start a nationwide campaign on educating around these kinds of subjects. That's something that I want to sort of work towards in the future.
It's definitely needed.
There really isn't enough information.
No, there isn't enough.
I mean,
there isn't enough.
Even if you Googled it, you wouldn't get anything. You wouldn't get anywhere with,
Well, it stops at the dark web. The dark web's closed, so people don't understand there's so many people who don't even know what the dark web is.
Mm-hmm.
They just think it's full of naked kids and rape videos, and it's so far from that. It's like I said before, it is Amazon, but in the dark web. You can buy anything on there. So from children, body parts, organs, it's
guns,
all there.
Grenades, military tanks.
The whole thing.
It is like it's crazy on there. It is crazy.
So it's a matter of just educating parents that to try and prevent their innocent pictures being uploaded. And it takes literally a second for somebody to screenshot your image of the kid. Mm-hmm. And then you will never know, ever will you know that there's a group of pedophiles masturbating over your kid and talking about, what if the underpants were moved to the side? Why don't we do this? And would you do that? What do you think, Jimmy, about
they're all under there egging each other on and encouraging
and what we
perverse
because what we do, my team, we infiltrate these forums. Mm-hmm. But there's some really dark forums that you actually have to prove that you are a pedophile. And the only way you can do that is upload a video of yourself in the image raping a kid. That's the only way a lot of these dark web sites will allow you access. Because you have to understand, a lot of the authorities are in there too, and they're scouring with their fake accounts to try and gain access, to try and, locate these pedophiles.
They know that people are in there looking for them. So they've
absolutely. The ultimate way to prove you're a pedophile and to gain access to, because you have to understand these websites, they have different member levels as well, gold, silver, bronze. And to get up, you have to upload the most heinous things of yourself. So you have to show yourself doing it to a child before you get up. Before you can gain access to gold, silver, or whatever. And this is what people have to understand. So there's that aspect as well. The dark web is you really don't want
that
kids.
Was news to me as well, and that sort of makes a lot of sense.
So we try and infiltrate.
My mind.
We infiltrate as much as we can. Obviously, there's some that we can't infiltrate, but we infiltrate the majority of the websites, and we gather intelligence also because they even have their own travel agency set up. So they all start talking about, let's all go to the Gambia. You go to this hotel, and the staff there are very lenient with us, pedophiles, and go there. And so this is what we try and do. So we follow the trend. So this is why we sort of stay away from Southeast Asia, even though Southeast Asia has a problem. But you have countries like Kenya and, Benin and Gambia. Gambia is full of British and European pedophiles, full. And so
in places like that, I mean, it only takes, couple of banknotes for somebody to turn a blind eye.
Oh, absolutely. Poverty, and this is what I mean. The staff working at the hotel, police officers get absolutely nothing as a salary. They're really, really, you have to, and this is what pedophiles do. They take advantage of that. They manipulate police officers high up as well. They manipulate management from the hotels, just turn a blind eye that we're bringing in 2 young boys, for the night. Pay off the security guards to, there's $10, just go and have a coffee. This is how easy it is, and people don't understand, but we infiltrate the dark web to gather this information. So if they start talking about they're going to go to a new country because the Gambia might be getting hot, then we'll start following on the ground. And this is where we set up a lot of other undercover operations, and we will use the authorities that we trust to put pressure. So that's why we're in the dark web a lot, to gain access to information about what they're doing. But included in that, we see
a step ahead of the game, and
you have to, you have to, and
because they are so conniving and calculated about the way that they go around things. So you have to kind of take the same approach.
They're masters of manipulation.
Yeah.
They are masters. The word manipulation was created by a pedophile because they are so good at it. And parents have to understand too that pedophiles manipulate and groom everybody in the community, not just the child. And in fact,
the narcissists, they'll come across as shining pillars of the community. They will
have to do that.
They will get involved in charities, and they will raise money.
Orphanages is a big one. Orphanage is a very big one, and quite often we hear talk about sending money to orphanages here and there because they're connected. And there's a big problem in African countries where orphanages are being opened up by Western people for the sole reason of abusing the kids. So, but that's another story. But online grooming is massive, and parents need to understand that the majority of pedophiles are within your circle. So you have to also, this is another point I wanted to say, even though we recommend that you have a private account, that doesn't mean that you can just post inappropriate pictures of your kids, because I can guarantee you, and statistics show, that the majority of pedophiles are within your inner circle, whether it's a neighbor, friend, cousin, dad, whatever, brothers. You have to understand that if your account is closed, even if you clean off your following list, right down to just, a few trusted people, you've got to be careful, because you don't know who a pedophile is these days. He doesn't have pedophile written on his or her face.
And we see 90% of children are actually abused by somebody that they know.
This is where I'm coming from.
So you have to take that into account as well. There could well be a paedophile within your circle that you will never know about until they get caught. So it's not to say that making your account private guarantees your child's safety, but it is a very big step in the right direction towards safeguarding.
Yeah, listen, it's a thing that you can never sort of 100% protect, but you need to be 100% aware what is happening and the risks involved. And if you can have a closed account, take away your private details off your BO, you're reducing the risk. I'm not saying you're going to eliminate it, but you're reducing the risk of being groomed. And, they're so good at manipulating. Like I said, they will manipulate parents first. This is a big thing I've been going on about for months now, is single mums on dating sites. You really, really need to be careful that I was approached or talking to a mother in Brisbane who married a man from the dating site. She had a 8-year-old daughter at the time, and he's just pleaded guilty to sexually abusing the girl. And in his confession, he's confessed that he dated the mum purely to groom her to get access to the girl. And the girl's 13. Yeah, and this is also confirmed in the police report as well. So it's really real, mums. You've got to be careful on dating sites. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to put fear into you. I'm just saying, be aware that this is happening and it's really real, and you've got to really be careful who you expose your children to. But as she said to me on the phone, she didn't have a clue. She married him and everything, and she fell in love, and this is what they do. They build up a really...
That's the thing. Some people are married to their paedophile husbands for years and years and years, say for 8 years, and the child gets to 8, and then all of a sudden you realise, oh, how have I been married to this predator for 8 years, and he's been doing things under my nose without me ever cottoning on, because like you said, they are master manipulators. They have been living a double life their whole lives, and hiding that element of their selves and their personality and their character, hiding that away from everybody. So they know exactly what to do, what to say, and even me and yourself and myself, who have a lot of experience dealing with predators, could be fooled by easily fooled by a predator.
They don't have predator written on their forehead, and I always tell people they're not 50-year-old grey-headed fat men. They're women. There's women pedophiles. There's pedophiles are younger, and the victims are getting younger.
As I mentioned earlier, the 22-year-old boy who's been messaging 14-year-old girls, you wouldn't, is a 22-year-old male. It doesn't fit the category of a stereotypical paedophile.
No,
so we need to break the stereotypes. We need to completely scrap those, throw those out the window, because that isn't what paedophiles are. And they can look any way, they can be any gender, they can be any age, from obviously from over the age of 18 to 80 years old. You just don't know. And we have come across female predators working within schools and things as well. So it is very common. And as well, predators that are parents. Their parents, they may not have abused their own children, but having their own children wasn't enough for them not to want to do that to another child. You know what I mean? You should know that the love you have for your child, they know no bounds. Basically, they know no bounds, and we really have to break these stereotypes, because anybody can be a target and anybody can be a paedophile. So that's what you got to that's what you need to take away. The best thing to do is just bear that in mind, and never think it couldn't be my child. It could never happen to my child. Like we said, we don't want to scare you, but it could do, and you need to take that in and just keep that in the back of the mind as a possibility. And when you're uploading pictures, or when you let your child have an Instagram account, because for the most part, your child, you'd like to think your child would come and tell you, but for a lot of the cases, they won't ever disclose that, because the paedophile knows exactly what to say to the child to make sure that they don't disclose that information to their parents. So they'll, whether they tell the child, if you tell anybody, I know where you live, I'm gonna kill your mum and dad, or they know what to say. So
absolutely,
can't even be sure.
They prey on the vulnerable.
They prey on the vulnerable. And let's just make it known that children really don't need a social media account. I just don't see the need for 12, 11, even 13-year-old children to have Instagram. And I know they want to kind of keep up to date with their friends, but there is other ways that they can do that. And it's not just Instagram, like we mentioned. There's also games like Fortnite and Roblox, which are massive ones for predators, because they know that it is a game full of children, online games. So,
well, we have our fake profiles that we hunt down the pedophiles, and we get them before. Basically, we groom them before they groom a child, and we use fake profiles, and we could be talking to a pedophile on, say, Fortnite or Roblox.
And
to be
they still
5
think
minutes,
it's a child. Yeah.
5 minutes. Yeah, because we're using a fake child profile, which is exactly what the authorities do. So we use fake profiles to lure in the pedophiles before they groom the kids, and then we pass over the information to the authorities. But you basically, I mean, things can be safer if you educate yourself before you educate your kids. And the two biggest things we always tell people educate on, the basics is, one, tell your kids never to accept any friend request from anybody they don't know in person. That's the number one rule. Number two is never to chat to anybody they've never met in person. If the kids can stick to those two basic rules, you will eliminate so much danger, and the internet can be quite safe. But parents have to know those two rules in order to teach their kids. But unfortunately, trying to tell those two basic rules to some parents is like talking to a brick wall. But that's what we're here for. And educate.
Can we note as well that Adam and his team are professionals? Please don't try to lure in pedophiles with go out and be a vigilante. And I know that you want to do the right thing, but there's a certain way that things need to be done for something to be done about the predator. So instead of you getting yourself in trouble for entrapment, leave it to the professionals. If your child gets contacted by somebody you may feel is a predator, please send them over to me or send them over to Adam, and then I can get that across to Adam if you can't get hold of him. And let him and his team deal with it professionally, because they build a case for the police and have things dealt with the right way, and they know all of the everything that they need to take into account around when they're doing this. They know everything. They know what they're doing.
If you do it wrong, unfortunately we see, and I totally get the vigilante thing where there's, not enough is being done by the authorities. So I can see where the vigilantes want to come out, and it's great. And I don't oppose the idea. I just think vigilantes or people who want to help need to educate themselves on, because the biggest problem we see and what we heard when we talk to the authorities, they get really annoyed because they see a good case from somebody who's passed it or whatever, but it gets thrown out in court because the pedophile's lawyer will immediately get the evidence dismissed for various reasons. So this is why we do what we do, and we pass the case to we never try and meet up with them. We never try and put their face on social media, and which I understand people want to do, so the community can be aware that Billy over there is a pedophile. But you have to try and think of the consequences to that if you want this person prosecuted or attempted to be prosecuted. Otherwise, they walk around, which a lot of them do, pedophiles, laughing because they know, So it's really a thing that
the system generally works in their favor anyway.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that, and that's a big problem. That's one of the biggest problems, and the amount of work and effort that the authorities do and put a really good case to the court. And you're thinking, because I get a lot of them, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, he's going away. No, all the time. I don't know, 99% of them get, a slap on the hand or get no consequences, and they walk around with immunity. But that's
we all know somebody in prison serving more time than a paedophile for a much more minor offence.
And this is why we're trying to divert people's anger, because we find as well, because we deal a lot with victims, and not enough help and resources is being given to the victim. Everybody wants to hate and kill the paedophile. So we think if people can divert their hate and anger to something that you can't control, because you're not going to change a judge's decision, right? You can sign any petition you want. These assholes, politicians and the judges and the courts, they're not going to change for another 100, 200 years. So instead of getting frustrated and turning off to this subject altogether because you're infuriated that another one's been let off, why don't we divert all that hate and anger for a shitbag to the victim, because the victim is the one that has a life sentence of nightmare, no support, hardly anything. So our charity is trying to get the message out. We understand and we support. We know, we of all people know the frustration, because we deal with these scumbags, and we see. So what we do is we do our job, we give it to the authorities, and we switch off, because we don't want to go crazy thinking, another fucking pedophile's let off. We use so much energy hating them and the system, and we're not concentrating on the victim, who's the real, really suffering here. So this is why we're trying to change people's, because I think if so many more people
concentrated on the victim, it's a very good way to look at it, actually, is just transform that energy and push it towards, take it out of anger, turn it into love, and give it all to the victim. And we need to be here to support the victims, because it is an ongoing thing for the rest of their lives, that can massively affect many aspects of their lives, not just their mental health, but it can affect a lot of different aspects of their lives. So I think what you've just said there actually is very important, because it can be very frustrating, and I myself get very frustrated seeing them, and the frustration isn't doing anything.
I get messages every day. Adam, did you see this? Adam, did you see that? And they get so frustrated, and they go down the rabbit hole, and then they don't talk about this subject for 2 or 3 months until they clear their head. And this is what I'm trying to get across. Forget about the sentences and stuff. Let the authorities and deal with that. And this is why I don't get behind any petitions, because me and my team are so busy. We want to concentrate on helping the kids on the ground and in the dark web. And that's what we concentrate on. I'm not interested in that another pedophile got let off, because I know they're going to get let off. So I'd rather concentrate. I have so many victims who I'm talking to right now. And if I post something about their story and I'll blank out their face, and the response I get in the comments for supporting that victim, the victim always messages me crying, saying, they can't believe how people are so supportive of them, and they didn't realize, they just think everybody doesn't care about them. So they they're suicidal, they're alcoholics and all this stuff, but all they need is some support.
I think it's over 90% of the homeless have been abused or sexually abused at some point in their life. These are forgotten people that we walk past on the street every day, and no one ever stops to question, why are they in this position? They just probably think, well, they do sometimes, they go, oh, he's probably just got himself on drugs and got himself into this position. But why did he need to take those drugs in the first place? 90% of them have been abused, and we walk past them every day, and we'd look down at them and we go, oh, probably just a drug addict. But why? Where did the addiction come from? To deal with the pain and the trauma that they've experienced as a child. And then this is what happens. They then grow up and they can't deal with it, and they end up on the street. They end up committing suicide, or they end up or they end up becoming an offender themselves. So I think what you have said is we got to think important, because imagine if some of those homeless people, for example, got the support that they needed back when they were a child, back straight after the abuse had happened to them. If somebody was there to guide them and say, it's okay, I've got your back, they may have never ended up on the street. This is the thing. Yeah, this is exactly the thing. They need support and guidance. And there's another thing we started in Kenya. It's a village child trafficking and exploitation village program for teenage kids, boys and girls. And, a lot of them are parents being raped, the girls, from traffickers and pedophiles there. So we've basically gone in and given them, a course every week, and they love it because somebody's giving them support. And they've never had anybody at all giving them guidance, and they're educating themselves now through the program and it's incredible on how pedophiles and we're trying to teach them how traffickers and pedophiles work. And we've just been told that a lot of the known traffickers and 2 pedophiles have left the village since we started the course, because they know
that these kids are not vulnerable anymore because they have PRC right
they have
behind
knowledge.
them. And so
Knowledge
it had
really is
so
power.
much knowledge. And this is what's happening. And it's a prime example that online grooming, child exploitation, parents, you must educate yourself before you can educate your children. And you have to see this as a, you know, you've got to really embed this child exploitation into your family life, you know, educating your kids on grooming. Don't talk to people you don't know. Don't accept friend requests that you don't know. And it comes down to the same as when you, how many times you have you have kids and you get into the car. What's the first thing you say? Put a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
You know, make sure you got your seatbelt on. This is how child grooming education must be installed in each family. You must talk about it at least a couple of times a week. And the more you talk about it, the more your children will feel comfortable. If they get this person chatting to them, they will immediately know, oh, mum and dad is talking about this grooming thing. I'll go and show mum and dad. You've got to talk, and it's vital. Without talking about this grooming, online exploitation to your kids, about inappropriate images, about images that might be innocent, you have to talk about it so they're aware of it.
It's a difficult subject to approach, and it's not one that you've probably, a lot of parents, you've probably never thought about talking to your children about it, because you want to keep them safe and you want to wrap them in a bubble and you want to, but if you really want to keep them safe, you have to talk to them about it. You have to make them aware. You can't hide it away from them and think that, you know, that's protecting. They don't know about paedophiles, so it can't hurt them because they don't know about it. Doesn't work like that. They need to know, and it's not an easy subject. And it, you know, you can always reach out to people like myself or Adam for advice on how to approach that subject, or maybe we'll even put out an informational video that you can show to your kids. Maybe we'll work on something like that, you know, an easy to watch video that explains everything, so you don't really have to tackle the information if you feel like you don't know enough about the situation. Maybe we'll put out a video and then you can answer any questions that your children have after that. You know, we'll do whatever we can to support you in this and to help you, but you do need to have this conversation with your children. And you know, they're not stupid.
It's the
Kids
first
aren't
step.
stupid.
It's the first step.
You know, they know, they know right from wrong. They know they know what they're doing. If they can operate a phone the way that these kids can these days, then believe you me, they can understand what you're going to tell them.
Exactly.
And
well, it's like you can't educate your kids on something you don't know, and that's why the first point, parents, you must educate yourself first before educating your kids. There's no point educating your kids on something you have no idea about. So it's vital. You must take the first step. It's your responsibility as a parent to educate your kid. It's not your kid's responsibility. So that's where,
Well, Adam, it's been an amazing time chatting to you as always. And I myself have come in and learned a few things from you today, even though I speak to you almost every day. I've even, you know, every day I'm learning from you, and I appreciate everything that you have to give for me and for everybody else as well. But
you're welcome.
I urge everybody to go and support Adam and go and support Project Rescue Children. A little bit off topic from the online stuff, but Adam's recently done an operation and saved 120 girls who were trafficking victims. And
our partners, in Kenya.
Your partners in Kenya. But PRC are constantly doing work on the ground, not just online, on the ground, real life kids, real life situations, and they're making a massive difference. So, and I'm a very, very proud ambassador for Project Rescue Children. I am.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
And
it's about time.
Yeah, it is, right? So
so things are going great. I mean, we're doing so much. It's
a charity that I trust very much. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to do something different and not just talk. We wanted to show the impact on the ground, and that's what we're doing. So it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Doing it very well.
Thank you.
And I can't wait for everything else that me and Adam have in store. So everybody, you need to stay tuned, because we have got a few things up our sleeve, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. So, it's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. And it's all for the kids. So that's all that, that's all that matters. But yeah. Thank you very much for giving us your expertise and your time. I know you're a very busy man, but this has been very educational, and it's very appreciated. And I'm sure a lot of parents are going to learn something today, which I'm more than
well, like I said, talking to you, it's not, we're not, I don't want to come across as telling parents what to do. Mm-hmm. You're grown adults. You take on the knowledge, what you want to take on. You can listen. You can't. You don't have to listen. It's up to you. But we're here, with Alex and who's doing a great job putting things out there and talking about these subjects where most people don't talk about. So it's important to take away some points if you're interested in protecting your kids.
And
so thank you.
Share the message, educate your friends. If you come across this video, share it on. If you're in a group of mums, or you've got all your friends that you see on the school run, forward it on to other parents, because they need the knowledge, and we appreciate everybody that does share our information.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. I will speak to you soon. And you.
Yeah, take care.
Take care. Bye bye.